Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices. Paranormal Evidence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm not Audra.
I am.
She is.
I'm still thinking. I'm
Tony, and I'm Cherie.
I'm boring Lourdes. I never do anything different.
Oh, no.
Oh,
And I'm Ray's Hobbs. Yeah, I can't even convince myself that that's Ray's Hobbs. It's not.
Hey, Roger.
Roger.
So we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
It is.
Yeah,
Guys,
we're all
really-
here, which is nice.
Guys, do anything exciting last weekend? Real fast?
We were nonstop. Well, she was in Florida from Wednesday
Oh, that's
to
right.
her daughter's graduation from a college down there.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Sarah.
you. Yes.
Yeah, it's very
I'm
cool.
very proud and happy for her.
So
So
Friday night, I took my son to a comedy club. The second time I've taken him, some act he watched on YouTube, which actually really good. A puppet comic named Randy Feltface, way better than I thought it was going to be. The opening acts were good. Saturday, we had a surprise 80th birthday party for my father. A family from Florida and from California came in. And then Sunday, some of those relatives who were still in town went to my dad's house for a second get-together for Mother's Day, and she flew in at noon to Newark Airport, which
went
is
straight there.
15 minutes from my dad's house. So I picked her up, and we went there, and then we got home. So we're tired.
Yeah.
Imagine.
That's a lot.
Wow.
It is a lot.
But
Tony,
it was fun.
How's everyone's Mother's Day?
Good.
Good.
Good. How was yours? Both
Yeah.
of you good?
Yep. Cherie?
Yep. My
Good.
daughter and I, we watched the Evil Dead Rise. Oh my gosh.
terrible.
No.
Terrible.
I think it's better than the Pope. What do you call that movie?
Pope's Exorcist?
Yeah, Pope
No.
Exorcist.
No.
It's so scary.
No, it's so stupid. But let's see what else.
The original was
Well,
the best.
yeah. Cherie,
Look at Cherie.
I thought it was connected to like the Evil Dead.
It's
I was
awesome.
waiting to see what's his name. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
The dead guy?
Yeah,
And I know who he's talking about. And there's an actor he's talking about.
Yeah, I can't.
Right.
I know he's talking
I
about
can't
too.
think of his name, but he was hilarious in those movies.
Yeah.
He never showed up, so I wasn't impressed. But
Yeah, you didn't finish the movie.
no, I
so
didn't.
I spent my Mother's Day just with my daughter, which is okay. Because Tony.
I was editing.
Yeah.
I did lots of editing, and then we there was something else I was going to mention. Now I don't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
Something else we did, but yeah, that was our weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make another announcement. We spent
Oh, no.
our weekend. We spent our weekend prepping for these 6 people right here to be together in North Carolina come Friday night. So
Very
everybody
exciting.
wants really, really close because the first EVP group investigation is happening Saturday night at the Montgomery House, and we might have a live coming at you. And you
Hopefully.
hopefully, you don't want to miss that live because I have another announcement. Unfortunately, the week after, because of traveling, all of us, well, we're going to be here, but everybody traveling back home, we will not have a show next Monday. And then, unfortunately, we will not have a show the following Monday because it's Memorial Day weekend, and all of us have plans, and we will be in Charleston. I'm sure all of us will get some evidence together so we can have our own evidence show. But the following week, the first week of June, we are going to have an evidence reveal of our first investigation at the Montgomery House. So everybody pay really close attention. That's coming up soon.
Yep.
Remember,
Yeah,
An
just-
exciting.
Just for the magnitude of this for people watching, because it sounds like we're making a big deal about getting together when we talk every freaking Monday. But we've been between our own self-produced and putting it on Facebook and YouTube to another network, to this network, right? And even before when you guys first brought us on, when it was the four of you, we have never all six been in the same room to do an event. We've worked with Chris and Audra before. We've worked with Tony and Cherie 2 times. They obviously spent a lot of time together, the four of them, because they used to live near each other and run Phelps Dodge. The six of us have never done an event together. So this is a big effing deal to us. It is.
It is.
It
With a
is.
capital F.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's gonna be great.
So keep in mind, after I just whined about being tired, the next weekend we're flying out at like 10 o'clock at night after work to go to Charlotte to spend the weekend hanging out with these guys, probably laughing more and sleeping less, then investigating, and then flying home on Sunday and going back to work on Monday.
That's right.
Yep.
Crazy stuff.
Awesome. Fun. Can't wait.
But unfortunately, we probably won't be filming outside of the investigation, which probably would be funnier. But
We could.
Want to film that? No.
Sleep is overrated. It is.
it is. I'll get enough sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is that I've done a lot of research and study into this area, and I've found, statistically speaking, that I drive much better when my eyes are open.
Go figure.
Yeah. What is that little ball? See that little ball?
I know. It was
Is that when
better
you lean
when-
forward?
I don't know.
Ironically enough, I drive better when my eyes are closed.
It's this one.
Yeah.
This one.
But
That's
let's
what-
get to the reason that we're here.
Yeah, there is a reason.
Yeah, and a good one at that.
There's a reason here.
And a
So-
good one at that.
It is. Hey, y'all. Our guest tonight is Matty V from Sector 12 Paranormal. And he was going to have a friend on with him that we have mutual respect for. He is a combat veteran. Unfortunately, he could not be here with us tonight. So, in the faith of prayer and unity, let's go with that. So, Matty is the lead investigator for Sector 12 Paranormal. Everybody say hello to Matt.
Hello.
Hey, Matt.
There he is.
Hello,
How you doing,
Matt.
everybody?
How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
Hello.
Can we call you Matt instead of Matty? Or
Yeah, Matt's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't
Or
pronounce Maddie.
or Matteo.
You can't pronounce Matty?
Or MVM.
It's her
MBM.
Filipino accent. Is it?
Yeah, Matt works fine. Yep.
All right, Matt. So, Matt, first thing we ask a guest that has never been on our show before is tell everybody what got you involved in the paranormal. What got you hooked?
Well, to start off on the lower side of things, my first occurrence was I was 4 years old, and a little something happened with the family being sick. My grandmother was praying for us on the way to the house. My mom sent me to bed, and then as the story went on, my grandmother got to the house and was asking how the kids were, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Matt went to bed and had a dream that Jesus called us all by name." And then my grandmother told my mom, she says, "Well, that's weird. On the way here, I prayed for each one of these individually." So I had picked up that being like at 4 years old, but that story was told to me, later on in life, like, hey, the first time something weird ever happened to you, you were like about 4 years old. So that was like my original, and then as I got older into like my preteen years, seeing things that weren't there. And then pretty much 18 through 23, it got a little bit more dramatic with shadow figures. And then my first death in the family was 2006. My aunt had passed away. And she had came back to me in dreams. And it was almost like, because I never got to see her in the hospital, and I kind of had that like remorse whenever, and it just kind of was like, it picked up more and more and more. And we get around to about 2013, my grandfather passed away. And then it seemed like everything about what I went through, it just heightened. So I'm like, you know what, if this is going on, let me put my gift to work. And I started watching like all those shows on, Travel Channel about ghost hunting and stuff. And I was like, I think I could do this. And then I had met my wife, and she didn't believe in any of this stuff until she met me. And then she started witnessing things, and she goes, "You're like them people on TV." So from that, I'm like, we decided to make the team up. Well, about a year and a half ago, I originally had started investigating.
Oh, okay.
But this team we've had since just about November. So
Awesome.
so far, so good.
Awesome.
We've had the chance to work with you guys out in the field, right, at New Egypt Historical Society. And what's interesting for people watching, if you just heard what Matt said about himself, you would get the idea that maybe he's somewhat empathic or intuitive. So he was picking up on things when we did Staticom with them in New Egypt, and then things would come out, would be spoken that were relevant to like where he said he heard something or he thought he heard something move, and something would be said that kind of lined up with that. And it happened more than once that night, if I remember.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
And of course, our original spot we first met was the old Columbus Inn.
Right.
That too. I mean, but I was pretty much background noise to that project because I was also new to that group. So a lot of stuff that you had picked up with your project that you do, we had gotten some of that evidence there as well. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting field to be into, if to say the least.
Yeah.
Interesting's a good term.
Yeah.
Most people call us crazy, but it's all right.
Oh, yeah.
We resemble that statement. So
Exactly.
And
And he's in our neck of the woods, right? You're in South New Jersey, so that's one of the reasons we get to work with people like him, is he's not that far from us.
Yeah.
you guys are in a really cool area of the country where there's a lot of paranormal groups and a lot of paranormal places where you guys can cross paths and have a chance to work with a lot of people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes it's beneficial. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get everybody in one group, per se. Because everybody's always running around either different parts of the state or country, or especially between paracons and all that kind of stuff. But when you do cross paths, it's pretty worth it. You get to see how each group, does their own thing. Everybody has a different method, and it's so you kind of learn from each other, all almost in the same aspect.
So Matt had something in his bio that I thought was really intriguing because it kind of falls in line to what I do as a profession. So you have construction background.
Yeah.
So you're sensitive and you have a construction background. So the combination of the two makes your situational awareness huge when you're doing a paranormal investigation.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we can attest to that. We saw it.
That's awesome.
Especially when it comes down to like the electricity and like, the build of everything, where a lot of people just jump to conclusions. I could already say, this wouldn't happen. This isn't a natural scenario. And then it's like, then there's the wow factor. Like, yeah, that's out of the normal, and it's
right.
Yeah. So it's
that's awesome. That's Chris Nuara. I don't know why Facebook users don't come up.
I know.
Yeah, same old thing with that.
Because they have to give StreamYard permission to show their name. It's a pop-up that happens before you enter. Otherwise, you just say Facebook user. Yep.
Even on Facebook, it does that?
Correct. StreamYard won't show your name unless you give it permission.
So they have a button to
they have a checkbox to hit.
Okay, log out, Chris, and log back in. Check that box.
Check box.
All right.
Oh, they all have to do that.
So we came here to look at evidence, I think.
Did we?
So I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through the picks first. So Matt, when we do the picks, we'll be able to talk during them.
Okay.
But when we do the videos, we're not going to be able to, then nobody can hear us. So let me share my screen because that's the way I can zoom in on the pics that you guys sent in.
Yeah, that's the best way to go.
Yeah, because StreamYard makes it so little it's hard to see. So let's start with, why don't you tell us about this one? What the heck is that one?
Trying to remember which exactly one that one was.
So this is the original pic, right?
Oh,
Stuffed animal in there?
In the dark, shining like that?
No, that was actually in.
Stuffed reindeer.
It's a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Looks like a dog.
Let's see. It looks like a stuffed reindeer. It's literally what I just said.
Yeah, it's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah, it does. Kind of does.
Did
It does.
you guys catch some kind of elemental in this picture? So that one's enhanced. So they've changed the contrast to it. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
room is this in, Matt?
That was
Even
actually
got the antlers.
that's the weird part about this particular why we actually investigated Mike's house, the other guy of the group. He had some weird occurrences going on, and he had originally snapped that picture after hearing some things in his house. And when they figured like what was going on, and he did a little bit of his enhancing, trying to like, because he had to show us, he's like, you guys won't believe this. And then what he was actually seeing in his hallway, looking out his bedroom door, was this thing. And when we actually investigated his house, in that lower portion of the house, it'd be like it's kind of like a bi-level, so it's like kind of basement, kind of not kind of situation.
Okay.
But, a couple of the members, including myself, had actually seen almost a shadow figure type, but it was crawling low to the ground at one point. And it kind of caught our attention to kind of look again. And when I was down actually in his room, sitting on his bed, looking out the doorway, I saw almost like I don't want to say a solid mass, but almost like a black mist. And it was in the same direction that the other team member had seen it from her left point of view. And this thing here, that is exactly the area where it would have been where we have seen it. And I told him, I said, to me, I don't know, I don't want to always label something mischievous, but I didn't get a very human presence from it.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I'm kind of picking up a natural vibe from it. It's almost like, does he have things disappear in his house and then reappear, things get misplaced?
Well, they actually were going through a couple things like that where things would kind of disappear. And then also a door down in his basement had opened. They would hear like footsteps and that kind of like odd stuff through the house. And then a few, if I'm not mistaken, a few audible like voices that they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. But really with this area also being very heavy in the Native American background, where you get burial sites and all that, who's to say exactly what was disturbed at one point to kind of trigger that, so it's, it was like earthbound energy, or as like somebody had just said, something like elemental maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get a very human presence from whatever, that particular entity was.
Yeah,
that's creepy. Yeah.
It is interesting. Look at that.
Yeah. And then we had very random like K2 and even like the cat ball going off down there. There was no actual baseline in that area. It was very high spikes of like 19 to 24 volts, and then anywhere from like 2 to 5 milligauss. So very up and down. It was in that area, it was very hard to get a baseline.
Yeah.
So that's a significant variation of spikes when you don't have a baseline.
Right.
Yeah, we couldn't get like a solid like 1 milligauss or like 4 volts. Nothing was stable at all.
So what's even more intriguing is the natural picture before he changed the contrast is almost as clear, if not more clear.
It is more clear.
Yeah.
Matt, I have a question. Is that only one photo, or did you guys take another photo when?
I believe that was the one, because he had just kind of like sat up on his bed and took a shot out in the hallway, and that's kind of the one photo he had.
Well, and the creepy thing about this picture is there's nothing in the room that would illuminate that face.
No, especially we have tried when we had gone back to his house and we looked at that same exact area. There's not even like an outside window that would project the shadow from the street, anything in the room or anything. Like even where he's got a office set up to the one corner, even like lights from the printer, it doesn't even project shadows in that direction. It would be like more or less the opposite way. So because the room, it's almost like an L shape. Like his room is to the side and the room gets bigger going the other way. So that area is actually pitch black.
Yeah, nothing else is lit up except for that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Even if it was something in the background that was illuminating, that would illuminate. It wouldn't. You would see a trail of light. There's no trail of light here. It's just the face. It's like it wanted you to see. It wanted him to see it.
Yeah.
What I see in the face is like a black wolf, 2 eyes, the long parts, the nose. You can see the black nose at the end.
Yeah. See, like I also got it like something like that, or like the You ever see like the old Oriental like dragon murals they paint on the wall with the real long snout with the it almost had that same also, that look to it. And I'm like, this ain't normal, it's just not, it didn't look like an old man, it didn't look like a woman, it just had its own special feature.
How long ago was that taken?
Upper lip, lower lip.
That one I believe right now is probably, I would say like maybe 7-8 months ago.
Yeah. How long has the house been up for sale? No.
So for everybody watching that is not real knowledgeable about elementals. Elementals are natural spirits. They're usually wood, earth, dust, wind, water, and elementals have been around longer than man on the face of the earth. They're not God-fearing at all because they don't have beliefs in gods. They're natural elements that can't say born. They're natural spirits that are risen from natural elements. So they've never been human. They're not human form. And usually elementals will take on a form similar to an animal type of form, but it's not a natural type animal. It doesn't resemble anything in the animal realm. That's why I'm leaning towards elemental on this one. And usually they can create their own light. Sometimes you can capture them as an energy, as like a wisp of light. But this is emanating its own light. So I'd almost lean towards that, especially if it's a Native American area. Because Native American...
That's Lenape area, right?
Yeah.
New Jersey, Lenape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is an interesting photo.
Yeah.
But you can see the rest of the room is pitch black. There's nothing that would light that up.
That's what makes it crazy, because mistaking something for something that it's not, right? That whole big whoops we could make.
Yeah.
It's hard to make that argument because there's nothing else is lit. Nothing.
Right.
And the other part I'd like to really emphasize on this, he is a very big skeptic. So it's very hard to persuade him into believing something. And for him to basically get freaked out and want to take a picture of something, that is like a big thing, because having him on the team, he's our main go-to guy when we have any second thoughts, like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'll be like, oh, it's ball lightning or it's dust, and for him to feel the way he did to take this picture because he felt like, whatever it was staring at him, he's like, I got to get this. And that's, when somebody's out of their own character, that kind of means a lot, so, with that value right there, it was like, yeah, he's not kidding, like he felt some sort of way, especially to want to have us investigate his house to see what we found. Yeah, so this one kind of sticks out to me a little bit.
Well, especially if they've had mischievous stuff happening in the house, which sometimes elementals get miscategorized as maybe poltergeist because stuff disappears, stuff gets destroyed, stuff flies off shelves. They do the same thing because they like to cause trouble. Mm-hmm. For those that believe. I'm not saying everybody does, but we've had a couple experiences with them, especially here on the East Coast. So it's all right.
Genghis, interesting perspective for Genghis. Flip it around.
What did he say?
Flip it upside down and said it kind of looks like a demon if you flip the image.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It kind of does.
Yeah, it
it sure does.
Sort of.
So maybe it was hanging from the ceiling.
It looks like a bat almost.
Like a what?
A bat.
Like a
yeah,
bat.
kind of. Yeah, it does. It does.
There's no self-illuminating bats, though. Let's be.
Well, honestly, that wouldn't even be funny that you say this, because I had a dream about Mike's house before we had investigated there, and in the dream there was a dark being that crawled the ceiling, and it was between two doorways in the house. And I was like, in my dream, I was freaking out because I was like, there it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. And I didn't really think about, the whole, demon word. But, and then we had gone there. A few readings we did have were, something a little bit out that way. But sometimes devices, a lot of times things will always point to the demon word, and it's not always the case. But
right.
Now that the picture is actually flipped upside down, that's
intriguing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it this way, you see ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the eyes, and this almost looks like a beak.
Yes. So I mean, kudos to Genghis, because that's the pedigree of our audience, that they would even suggest something like that, and it would turn the discussion in a whole other direction.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting enough, even in the upside down view, it takes on almost an animalistic persona that's still not relatable to any type of animal that we have in the realm.
Yeah, it's gargoyle. I agree with
you.
him.
Towards an elemental on it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it said.
Wow. Good job, Genghis, man.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's interesting that your dream had suggested something like that, because why wouldn't it be able to hang from upside down and look at him? I mean, who's I mean, everything else is dark. How you can't really say that it's upside down one way or the other. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's.
As long as I've been doing this, and some of the experiences that I've had, I still would be the last night I slept in that freaking room. All right, now let's take a look at this one. Now, is this? Oh, this is the contrast. Let's go to the original.
Yeah, there's another one.
Oh no, this is the contrast. There it is. Let's see if I can pop them side by side. There we go.
Jim Max has said Anubis. He's not far off on that.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
We have the most educated audience. It's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what is this?
So here's my question, Matt.
Is that a for reals person?
Is this the capture, or is this the capture?
Well, I think the second.
The second, like smaller.
This one?
No, actually would be the first one you pointed. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep, I see it. See, the contrast helps there.
Yeah, that was a very interesting night right here.
Hitting a beak theme here tonight.
No shit. Well, this guy looks more like who's the bad wizard off of Harry Potter?
Voldemort.
Yeah,
Oh.
missing his nose in there.
Thou who shall not be named.
Yeah.
Christoph.
Christoph.
Yeah,
question,
this one.
Matt, what is this stand? Is there somebody standing here? Is that what this is, or is that?
Well, that one, it's like a mannequin that you would put like a dress on.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
then,
there is a full body there, so.
But except there shouldn't be. I think it's just like one of the mannequins that's headed off at the neck. It's just like a black body. But that was the night that Ron, you and Lourdes were there, and we had gotten those couple names, and I kind of felt like I saw a shadow in that room.
Oh, New Egypt?
Yeah, that's at New Egypt. Yes.
That place was wild.
And that's when I got up to go to the room because I saw the shadow, and my wife followed me there, and she took 4 pictures straight in a row. But that was actually in the lineup of the 4th picture, and I didn't even realize it until I was playing with the, because that closet we've had a weird occurrence with the first time we were there. The name Sarah came to me, and I'm like, okay, something's going on. And all of a sudden, there was history of a Sarah being in that room. That name was withheld from me. So the name came to me, and we kind of picked it out.
Yeah, we got that. We got that on Staticom too. We got Sarah. Yep.
Yes. And then when I was actually in that room and I asked if Sarah was there the first time, there was a knock on the window right next to right where that dress is. And I'm like, we're 2 stories up. There's nothing knocking on that window, you know? But yeah, this particular one was from that night. And I just, we snapped a few pictures, but in this one, it almost looks like this little person is actually sitting on the shoulder of that mannequin. You can almost see like 2 legs. It would be like a chest area. And then the face was kind of like, I don't want to say the face.
A little jacket on him.
Yeah, like a little, what do you think? Like maybe like the late 1800s, how they used to wear like the white collared shirt with the jackets and but it's it kind of threw me off because a second occurrence I had in that room, I was actually facing the other way, like I was facing from like actually right where he was. There's a mirror on the opposing wall, and when I was kind of just staring into the mirror, concentrating, it almost looked like I had a face above my left shoulder, and there was nobody standing behind me. So then, when you guys were here this night, this happened. So I'm like, this is lining up to a lot of the activity in that room. And, when you had your Staticom thing and Sarah had come through, I'm like, see, this is so many different devices we've gotten, this from.
So, Matt, when you took this picture, your wife took this picture, what is this?
That might be another... That's the other thing too, because there is other clothing in there, and some of it does not add up to the other pictures that we had. Because that's the first thing you do see was that weird looking thing. Yeah. And also, and like I said, that little kid, we didn't even see that one until later when Mike kind of messed around with the contrast, and he's like, how about this one? But yeah, that other thing's a little questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And their eyes resemble each other too.
Yeah, Roger said something about the plague doctor, kind of a mask. I think he was alluding to, and I see that.
Mm-hmm.
In that closet, we also had a trail cam set up, and the camera was mounted at the 12 o'clock position. And we went to go back in and check everything else, and we went in there, and then the camera was actually pushed down at the 3 o'clock position. So something actually moved the camera as if it didn't want to be looked at.
It almost looks like something's peeking in the window. Seriously, right here.
Yeah, if you zoom in on the contrast one too, you can actually kind of see a little more of that. Yeah, it's hard to tell if it's something or not because it's so small.
Right. But did you say there was knocking on that window, Matt?
That was the one when I was in that room. We actually heard it, not to stereotype it, but there was 3 knocks on that window. And I was just like, you know what? Just let's leave this alone for right now. Let's go to another room.
Yeah, and that's stereotypical of knocking, I think, more than it is demonic activity, right? Because when you go to a door and knock, don't you like, like that's like kind of...
Yeah, so didn't really think 2 other things of it, but it was just like, you know what? It can go one of 2 ways. It's just a knock or it's a symbolism of something else. So,
right.
We were like, all right, let's go another room, and then we'll come back later, see if something else is going on.
Interesting.
That's a great location, that place. It really is.
Yeah, we just had a team come through there this past weekend, and they had a ball.
And
yeah, we were pleasantly surprised.
For our audience, what was this location again?
It's the New Egypt Historical Society in New Egypt, New Jersey.
Yeah, from us, it's about maybe like close to an hour.
Yeah.
From here. No, it was not. And it's one of those places that we'd never even heard of before, and they were kind enough to invite us down. And
it's a great location.
It was, I mean, we figured, we'd work with them, the other place, Old Columbus, so I'm sure to be good. But it was like, it delivered. The place was really, really impressive. It was really good. And beautiful from the historic point of view.
And what was the date of the original date of the building?
The property itself, it was purchased somewhere in the mid 1700s, and the building itself arrived at, I believe it was like 1816.
Wow.
And wasn't the farmhouse one of many that was built at a certain time in the 1700s or 1800s, but only one of 3 that's left?
Yeah, I believe that was the I don't know, it was all family or something. When they can't come down, but it's like the only one of that left because the property was cut down and sold, sold off in sections and stuff.
Right, that's
but yeah,
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, then that one, was rented out a couple of times over the years, which some of that history was not documented. So anything could have took place, and because of what took place, we don't have any of the history of it.
Still intriguing.
Yeah.
It does. It looks like there's multiple places in there, but that could be us just staring at it too long too.
Mm-hmm.
That's still some cool shit.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go ahead, Ben.
Wow.
That was cool. All right. I love still photos because we can. Got that one, Genghis. Nice catch, man. You turn that upside down and gives you a whole different perspective. That's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool that he suggested that.
Yeah.
Goes from Rudolph
Yeah, that was
to
a great suggestion.
Seriously.
It goes from a warthog to a bat. What the hell?
I know. We went from a reindeer to oh dear.
All right. So this next clip we got, this is a video clip. The next 4 are. And I think 2 of them are the same. One of them just cleaned up, right? He's in his room. Are those 2 the same clips?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. All right, Matt. So the first one we're going to play is Cat Ball NK2. So we'll talk about it after. Here we go.
I said do not let them play with girls' toys. Do not let them. You said they want to see you. Just careful.
Holy cat ball. That wasn't the one I asked for. Can somebody touch that one now? Can you make that one light up? All right, I'll take it. How about one of the other ones?
Not sure what the hell happened there.
I was hoping that was an art connection again. I was like, wait, no.
I know.
We were worried it was ours too. I'm like, oh, we got booted.
Like you haven't called files.
So for everybody watching, when Matt sent it to me, it was an MOV clip, and I had to change it to an MP4 for StreamYard, and it must have quadruple recorded it. So the end of the first clip was the clip.
Oh, okay.
Right before it went.
And that was Staticom running there, and there was would you heard Happy Birthday?
I heard Happy Birthday.
We heard Matt
and effing bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it seemed like it was responding to every one of your questions you were asking with your Staticom. It was just giving everything off,
I felt like we had the trifecta. We had a good location, we had a good methodology, and we had a really good group of people, and it came together.
That's
super
cool.
clear responses too. I mean, you didn't have to fight to figure out what's being said. Those were spot on clear.
Yeah.
Well, then on top of that, you got the cat ball going off as you requested, then the K2 spiking when you request a different device. You've got multiple devices. You're getting the Staticom responses behind it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you can make the argument of familiarity there too, because it seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you or Matt, but a lot of the responses came from Matt too. I think because it felt like when he would ask things, that's when like things would light up. And
yeah, that's the one thing I do like about that place. It took on to me pretty well, and
like
a lot of times, even if I'm in there by myself, I'll just put like a random cat ball out, and then like especially when I was digging through the history, every time I came to a name in the history lineup, and I was like, "Oh, you had 5 children," the cat ball would go off. I was like, "Oh, so you had your husband passed away and you took over the farm." And I'm just like reading it to myself as I was jotting some of the stuff down. And I was catching the cat ball going off out of the corner of my eye. So at one point I actually stopped and like, are you effing kidding me? Because it was like as if somebody was in the room responding to me. So I'm like, but then I started hearing footsteps upstairs. Like I said, I was there by myself, and I'm like, okay, I said, I'm the only one here, and whoever's walking up there right now, I said, I just hope they don't come down the stairs right now, because I'm just trying to do some history, and I just want to bounce out the door. I didn't have like no other equipment except for, you know, the 2 cat balls I had with me and my my notepad. So I was, but it seems like the more we're there, the more they try to come out.
Yeah.
Well, the best part about that is you get 2 pieces of equipment that interact completely different. And you got the K2, which is basically off of EMF, and then the cat ball literally takes physical contact for it to light up. Correct?
Yeah, that's like what I try like teach most of the members of the team. You know, they're kind of newer to it. Even like a lot of people like use SLS. I'm like, never use a standalone piece of equipment, because the more different equipment you have, each one can back up the next. Right. And even the next best thing to equipment is another team member or a witness. Even if they have a video camera and they catch your physical reaction to something else that you caught, you know, everything just adds up together, and it gives you, like, I always added the quote, I call it paranormal lasagna, because there's so many different layers, and it makes up one, you know, plate, you know. So, you know, being part Italian, I like using that as my little description. Like,
only in New Jersey, you can get Para-Unity anywhere. Paranormal lasagna, right here, Peppers, right here.
That's right.
That's funny.
That's awesome. I love that name. It's a great analogy.
Yeah, it is a great analogy, and that place was really good, and that K2 stuff went on for and the cat ball thing went on for quite a few minutes when we were in that room.
This is what I love. Is Matt's wife is in the other room watching the show and commenting. That's fantastic. All right.
Yeah, they were fun to work with. That was a great spot. Good night.
The next one involves another cat ball, but it's a different location. It's the Dolly cat ball. So let's go ahead and watch that one.
Can you make that cat ball light up again, please?
Dolly, can you touch that? If you're still here, can you light that up?
The fucking cat ball. Just we were talking to Kelly asked about
Thank you,
Dolly.
Dolly.
Look at that fucker.
Are you just coming for a visit right now?
That's crazy.
You gotta be shitting me.
Go,
You just trying to say goodbye? Oh, wait for it to blow out. Are you just saying goodbye? Or are you gonna hang here for a little bit?
Dolly, are you still working here? Looking at all the things that you used to see? Dolly, can you touch that again? Kelly, try.
Dolly, can you make the bowl light up one more time, please?
Kelly asked Matt a question on that Dolly just passed away this morning, and the cat ball went off, and then we asked a couple more questions.
Oh, wow.
Dolly here, and then we'll ask a couple more.
Did she spend time here, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday.
Weird.
Okay. Was the cat ball going on? Oh,
Yeah.
Did you open the door?
No.
No.
Okay, because I know when you open the door, it makes it go on.
Alright, I'm gonna turn mine off.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Dolly, can you do that one more time? Can you turn this cat ball on and show everybody that you're still here? Light it up one more time.
My memory card went in.
The digital recorder just died upstairs too. The one on the table.
That's interesting because those were direct responses.
yeah, that was my sound got low through that little part, but I was kind of there, so I kind of I know that was that morning a member of the Historical Society had passed away, and Dolly was her name. So the woman Stacy that was there with us that night, she is part of the council and volunteer at the Historical Society. And she basically told Mike, she's like, yeah, she just died this morning. So as we were leaving, basically getting ready to pack up, we just randomly we were like, Dolly, do you still volunteer here? And something went off, and we're like, no way. So we persisted to ask things, and it was like, almost on cue. And for being a fresh, exiting the earth, it still kind of showed that she was still coming back to, to me, it was like she had unfinished business, wanted to make sure that the Historical Society was still going to be, taken care of, and, checking on her, her life's work, just making sure, things were still going on, checking out the corner where all the little items were. And that was a pretty interesting, like, last minute, oh, hey, by the way, she passed this morning. It was like, wow. So,
wow. So that is Wendy Hayes. I'd like to see her toss it off the shelf in frustration. So it sounds like you said it was her life's work. So she was there for quite a while as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Which kind of backs up our theory on free will, that the whole theory of people don't go anywhere because they have unresolved problems and they get stuck somewhere. And if it's a place that she loved, maybe that's where she wants to be. Right? There's that free will that we always talk about.
Right. Good point, Chris.
Yeah, I actually had it's a little off topic, but since you brought up the whole free will thing today, I had my own little experience today, and it was kind of offsetting a little bit. Being that I live on a military base, you have to have your ID basically to get in and off. Well, my wife accidentally took my ID to work, so
oops.
I left. I go to come back. I couldn't get on base. So I was getting a little frustrated. I went back to the other gate to get on, and I basically took everything out of my glove box. I gave it to the guard. I says, look, I live here. Here's this, here's that. I even gave him my debit card and my credit card. I said, look, I live here. And I got so frustrated. But as I got through the gate, I literally saw my grandfather standing on the curb side of the grass, and he was like this, putting his hand on his head, like. And I tell you, by the time I got home, I lost myself. I'm like, if he passed on, I said to my wife when she got home, I said, if I see him so much, I said, then why did he pass away? Like, why am I seeing him more and more? Like, to me, it's like everybody says, if you read by the book, once people pass, they go on. I'm like, I think they can come and go whenever they feel like it. And when I seen him today, I even put up some non-nice Facebook posts because I was feeling some sort of way in my own head. And I'm like, I really, at that point, seeing him again. And then I got home to boot, and I seen I call him one of my resident spirits here. She was standing 4 steps up. So I grabbed the beer out of my fridge, and I sat in my garage. I'm like, I'm not ready for this today, but I do believe they can come and go whenever they feel like they're either needed or they feel like they still got to guide somebody or watch over them. And being that my grandfather, he was a Marine, and this is a military base, and I'm his grandson, he was probably like, oh, this stuff will never change,
Yeah.
So, on that note, I do believe, they can come and go just like we can. It's just the fact that they're invisible and we're not. They just.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, God wouldn't grant us free will. It's not a physical thing. Free will is not a physical thing. It's something that's mental, emotional, or spiritual, right?
Yeah.
So God wouldn't grant us free will if he plans on sticking us behind the gates of heaven and not letting us out. At least my God wouldn't do that. So what are you pointing at? Oh. Hey, UNX will switch over to the next audio program in about 6 minutes, but we are going to finish up with Matty in here on Voices live on YouTube and Facebook. So stick around while we finish up. He's still got some shameless plugs to go through, and we still got a couple more clips to go through too. So don't go anywhere. Stick around because we are way cool.
Or so we tell ourselves.
And our audience every week. Eventually, we'll convince them. There's the word. One word every week.
We're going to convict
them.
We're going to
convict our audience.
Convict our audience. Guilty of watching our crazy ass every week.
Yeah.
All right, you got a case there.
All right, so the next two clips are related. So it's your team member Mike, also known as Danger Close. I'll say his name.
Yeah.
And if anybody don't like it, I don't care. So, Para-Unity people. So the first clip I'm going to show is the raw footage, I think. I hope I got them in the right order. And the second clip is the cleaned up version. Am I correct, Matt?
Yeah, it should be in that order, I believe.
Oh, just because you sent them in that order doesn't mean I didn't screw it up.
Yeah, because Mike's usually our cleanup guy. He's like a very good technician in that department.
All right, so let me go ahead and, you know what? These are both the
I'm going to
exact.
show the dirty version first.
The dirty version. Why start with anything else? Let me. 9 seconds. Where's the other clip? Let's play this clip, and while we're doing that, let Chris find out if he screwed up here. All right, here we go.
He's in this room.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You heard that?
I heard that.
So that was Staticom.
That sounds like Lourdes.
Yeah, that was Staticom, and it said danger. He's in this room. It doesn't get much clearer, more timed or relevant than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's a nickname that somebody goes by. They were there, and it says the nickname, and he's in this room.
Right.
That's
way beyond coincidence. So, for any of our audience who's not aware, Ron, you want to give a quick, brief overview of what Staticom? I'm kidding.
Yes, Staticom is when we rub two balloons together and we record it.
So
and then we stick it to our heads.
Keep talking for a minute because Chris uploaded the same damn video twice. So let me.
This is the Staticom project. This is what Tony Shree and Lourdes and I are doing. We were running pure white noise from a generator, live filtration, slowed it down all in real time. They were talking to Matty a lot that night, and like it said, Sarah's name from the room your photo you were referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Several things that were relevant, answered questions, and that. When we heard that, like I stood up, I thought I'm mistaken, or I tried to. I might have been trapped under the table.
Was it you, Matty, that said no? Was it you that heard it with me at the time? Because I'm going yes, and then someone goes no, and I'm like yes. It's so funny.
Because it's so weird. Because that one particular voice, it's always like a lower, more dominant that we capture with our Phasma box, and a lot of times we use the Polter script too at the same time. And a lot of times the words will coincide a little bit too much. And then it's always a deeper male voice that's always more dark. And the last team that was in there this past weekend, they actually had that same response, Ron, in the attic. Where it was like, he's here in the, and we're out. First thing I thought about was that night with you. When we had that, we were like, yes. I'm like, no, like, it's that feeling like where the energy in the room changes when that response comes through, where it's not like the little kid wanting to play with a balloon. It's more like the more dominant tells everybody else to shut up so they could speak. I'm like, oh no, so it's that energy just shifts whenever. And when that one said danger, he's in the room, you felt like the air got thicker. So it's
And not every voice that comes through or that night was that same tonality or that same depth, like you're saying, the depth of the voice. It's not. It's white noise at a constant, as Tony always so eloquently explains it. So how there would be variances, and then Tony does explain it really well. The variances in the vocals like that, and the tonality is not anything that's being done directly through our rig or our software. That I think has something to do with the source.
Well, you also remember that
Correct.
in the duration of that, there was that resonant of like a girl crying too, and like throughout that whole, and like to actually hear somebody's like the breaths, the resonation of it, and you could hear somebody crying like as if you just yelled at your kid and told them to go in the room, and you could hear their crying off in the distance, like, so it was like, again, different layers of this taking place where it was nobody in the room making the noise. It was nobody outside in the hallway, but it was just there, and that's what makes, your project pretty unique, because it's nothing that you can't just fabricate and say, oh, it's because of this.
It's pure. It's absolutely pure. There's no data or vocals whatsoever in the white noise. It's, as Tony explains, it's at a constant. And it was funny that night too, because we've been doing this for a while, so she hears everything. Plus, by trade, she's a court reporter. But that night, it was impressive because a couple of you on your team were hearing things in real time, like in lockstep with her.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, because that doesn't always happen when it's new to people. They don't always, you learn how to listen to it. I mean, it's easier to listen to this, I guess, too. But you guys were really in sync with that.
Well, I found it. I actually found it. So I screwed up and uploaded the same one twice. So here's the raw clip. It's 43 seconds. So let's go ahead and play that.
I thought I heard it say New Egypt, but I stopped and restarted, so I have an odd video to check it.
Are you trying to gather energy so you can touch the cat balls again? He's in this room.
I heard that.
No.
Yeah.
You heard that?
Yeah.
That was good.
In the very beginning, it said danger right out of the gate one time.
Yeah, it says it 3 or 4 times in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was 3 or 4 times I heard it.
Yeah. That is fantastic.
So that's, do I believe in ghosts? I don't know. I mean, it said the guy's nickname 3 or 4 times, said he was in the room out of pure white noise when there's no vocals, no broadcast, no recording, no reception, no refunds, no rejects, and no money back guarantee. And yet, there it is.
Yep.
And you were the one that heard it, right? You and her.
Yeah. And then I think my wife heard too, I think, when it had come, because it was kind of like one of them like, oh my God, you hear that? But
okay.
The other part where this particular thing sticks out with him, because the first time he was ever there was with another team, and he was scratched down his back. So I think whatever's there remembers him and was like, okay, danger, he's in this room. So something recognizes him. And
that was a basement incident, right? That was the basement
in
incident?
the basement. Yeah.
And then like his one time, the first with us as Sector 12, he was actually down there and he got sick to his stomach and had to actually run upstairs. And, so something there has him targeted. And that's, you don't like saying that, but in certain, like it has happened with several people across TV, to go to different locations in England or whatever. And something's like, hey, and you'll keep getting those names over the, they want certain members to come back, So I think this particular location, something remembers Mike. So I think, and they're like, he's back. Whether it's the energy source or, something else, they know when he's there.
Yeah, Lori's right too. We were kind of hyped because it was really clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for everybody watching, danger close it's a military term that's used in battle, and it's phrased when forward or directing fire onto an enemy, or when you're within direct range of danger close, being closely. Spit it out, Chris. So it also references to where when you're danger close, you could actually be hit by any fire. So there we go. So Matt, are you in the military too? You said you're on base.
I married into it, but the whole thing behind it was both of my grandfathers were military, and then when our last group kind of fell apart, I wanted to kind of pay like homage to military. So with 2/3 of the group being military at the time, that's why the whole Sector 12, I just pulled a name out of my, back part of my brain and put the little chevrons in there. I was like, you know what, let's do a military law enforcement type group. And that way it'll also give a little bit of reassurance when we go to investigate that we're not just a bunch of, high school kids running around with no experience. It's pretty much people with different career fields that kind of took their career seriously. And now we're going to a different level. So it's like, you just want to, not for the show and go, but to just kind of put ourselves out there and do what we got to do to find what we can, and even outsource to other teams and, compile evidence. And so it's kind of like a little, tribute to the armed forces and such.
That's fantastic. There's nothing better in this world than people that pay respect to the people that go out every night, risk their lives, and say, you all can rest safely at night because I'm out here protecting you. There's nothing better than that, and I respect them all completely. So
appreciate
fantastic.
That. Can you replay the cleaned up version of it? Or either version, but the cleaned up version probably gets shorter.
All right, here we go.
He's in this room.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You heard that?
I heard that.
That's crazy.
For all of you watching, that was clear as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
Really good. Really good.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Laura, for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, Matt, we have reached the point in the show that we call shameless plugs. This is where you tell us where you guys can be found, websites, any places that you represent with this historical society. Where can people get information on how to investigate those places so the historical society makes some money and continues to be able to support those places that you guys go and investigate? No shame, man. Let it go.
All right, so you can basically follow us at Sector 12 Paranormal on Facebook. I believe it's www.sector12paranormal.com. And the site for the New Egypt Historical Society is on Facebook under Haunted New Egypt. And any donations go toward them to help keep them running. And if you want to investigate there, just let us know. We can set up the appointment, get you down on a calendar, come investigate, and anything that helps keep them afloat and keep the history alive, and help the buildings stay together, and without history being lost, and helping the team out and help them out, and basically without history being forgotten, which happens a lot these days. This helps, because without that building, all those items would be gone elsewhere, and what built that small little town, stuff like that would be forgotten along the way. And that was the whole point of Sector 12 getting in, was one, to give us free reign of experimenting and trying to find things, but yet utilize the building to see if we could find any history of it. And then in return, they were like, oh, we got a hard time doing this and that. So we were like, well, how about if we try to get something going to raise money for you? So we had a meeting about it, and then that's kind of what our goal is, just to kind of keep them going, keep the lights on, and the more that people donate, help keep the history alive.
Great message.
Nice.
Very great message. Like that one.
Yeah. We hear that more and more these days from different groups. I know Tony and Sheree used to do it when they had Phelps Dodge. You guys were helping them. Now you guys are doing that at Montgomery House, where we're headed next weekend. These guys are doing it there. And we've been to that place, and I will attest to the fact that is definitely a worth saving place, even if it had no activity. It's just really, really cool. The history and the architecture of it and the layout of the place. It was just we did a walkthrough in the beginning. Nothing happened yet, but we were just like, wow, this place is really cool.
Hmm.
Yep, that's
level
fantastic.
buildings,
Level building.
So amazing.
Yeah,
and of
and
course, anytime you come back and investigate, or even if you guys make a trip to 6 of you and come check it out, we'd be more than happy to host you again. And even if you'd want to do one of your lives from the place,
That'd be fun.
have you guys there.
That would be fantastic.
That would be cool. We're definitely going to come back. If we can recruit the other 4, we will do it. But we'll definitely be back. That place is really cool, and we had a good time working with you guys.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. It was a good time.
That's awesome.
You're welcome, Lord. Thank you. And remember, guys, Matt touched a little bit on erasing history. Whether we agree with the history or we don't agree with the history of where everything behind us and the people that came here before us, whether we agree with it or not, that's how we learn from it and don't make those mistakes twice. So if we erase that history, there's nothing for future generations to learn from and not make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure we maintain that history and make sure it's still there by supporting places like the places that we support and the places that Matt and his team supports. So don't forget that. Please.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's part of the function of this show, because the other thing you want people to historically remember is when people step up and do the right thing. And our guest tonight is one of those people, and those locations are one of those places. And we want them to learn what also to do, not just what not to do. And this is what to do. This is what to do, to have unity and to go out there and to open it up to other people, invite teams in, and to preserve something worth preserving.
Nice.
Well said. Well said.
Fantastic message.
Well said.
All right, guys, I want to thank our audience for coming out. We will not be here next week. We will not be here the week after that, but we will be back the following week after that with an evidence EVPE first time investigation together as a team show. So make sure you tune in 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. My addition is not good tonight. 3 weeks from tonight, we will be back, but I guarantee it'll be a show worth watching. And the fantastic thing is the week after our show, PPIT will be back on showing their evidence they caught from their last investigation at the Montgomery house too. So, and they've got some pretty good stuff. Matt, we want to thank you as a team. EVPE wants to thank you for coming on. Fantastic evidence, brother. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
Yep, keep doing what you're doing. And everybody out there, please pay attention. Don't forget about our military personnel. Whether you like what the government decides or not has nothing to do with what the military people represent and what they go out and do, because they're following orders. They're not making the decisions. They're risking their lives every day for our freedom. So don't forget that. All right, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Para-unity is huge, especially with the EVPE. Please don't forget that ever. But along with para-unity, one thing you got to make sure you guys do every week is come back, watch our show, support our guests, and stay haunted, guys. All right, guys, have a good 3 weeks. We'll see you. All right, guys, have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
No problem.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?